End of this Premier League, first match of this Premier League weekend, Brighton against Manchester United. Glenn, what have you made to Brighton's start to the season? Because it was a big win against Newcastle, a loss on the opening weekend to Chelsea, but the performance was there still. I
was very impressed with Brighton against Chelsea, actually. I know the result went against them, but the way they played, and you can tell what Graham was saying there, they're a bunch of players at the moment that can't wait to play football. They can't wait for their next game. And when you've got that in your camp, wow, that confidence, that belief is there. And it doesn't matter who they're playing against. They're probably coming against Man United, who have just lost at home to Palace, playing them at the right time. So this fixture, sometimes you look at it, oh, Man United, that's going to be a tough game. It's come at the perfect time for Brighton. Now, they've got to go out and do the job on the pitch. But I've got a sneaky little feeling they might actually surprise everyone and get a win.
I've got to say, I was in fascination of what a performance, Lamptey. Wow, he was sensational against Newcastle, wasn't he? His energy.
And he only played 57 minutes.
His recovery runs, you know, his work ethic. He was incredible.
He really was, and you just feel that that's Brighton at the moment. There's just this sort of optimism to them. And I think when you look at your opening two home games being against Chelsea and Manchester United, if you're Brighton, you're playing with house money. And I don't want to give them a little pat on the head and say, oh, well, we did well, but you didn't get the result against Chelsea. I think that would be a bit of an unfair way to look at it, because in reality, the chronology of it, the way that the Reece James goal, which is an incredible goal, comes just after the equaliser, even if they'd held on 3 minutes more and that absolute bolt from the blue goal doesn't appear, the way the game is tilted is completely different. They could actually go on to win that game even.
They actually created a wonderful chance. The header.
The dunk one.
Yeah. He should have scored, really. He'd be gutted he didn't. And they go 2-1 up then. And then it's a different story. The different game unfolds from there that Chelsea had to perform. But no, I think it's going to be a good solid season for Brighton this year. I really do.
What does a good season entail for Brighton, though, Glenn? Where do you think they should and could finish?
Mid-table. I think they can get into 10th quite easily. And this is such a tough Premier League. I think this will be the hardest Premier League we've seen ever.
Why is that?
Well, because you look at Everton, you look at Wolves, you look at Palace are going to be stubborn. They're going to take points from everyone, left, right and centre. I truly believe this year, from probably third, let's say Liverpool and Man City, from third to ninth, you could end up third, but you could end up ninth in that league. There's going to be such a battle in that positions there. Man United there, you know, Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham, Wolves, Everton, they're all improving.
Agreed. And you know what? I think it's for the teams that are going to be in that spot between third and ninth to cash in between now and Christmas, because the way the Champions League is stacked, it's pretty much a game every week between mid-October and mid-December. That's going to be really physically hard, I think, for teams to cope with. And if you're one of the teams that's not in it, so if you're Arsenal or Wolves or Everton, as you were saying, have a go. Have a go.
Interesting. All right, well, let's focus on the Manchester United side of things. They're the subject of this week's Friday Fan Forum. I'm looking forward to this. So let's hear... let's hear the very first question that's been sent in about Manchester United.
Hello, Robbie. The question I wanted to ask you was, what do you think of the United defence after that score show Crystal Palace? I mean, Eric Bailly had a good performance against Luton Town, so I personally think he should start. But what are your thoughts?
So we know United defensively towards the end of last season and last season in general were good statistically, weren't they? Keeping clean sheets and amount of goals conceded. I just feel that they need to buy a centre-half with pace in a one-on-one situation. And I'm not sure if Ollie thinks the same. Will it be Maguire and Bailly as his favoured pairing, because Bailly's got a bit more pace? I think going forward, Manchester United's full-backs have to be more creative in the final third. I think Wan-Bissaka's really good defensively. Shaw or Brandon Williams or whoever plays, but I just think they need to add one. And I wouldn't have Lindelof. I would go with the pace of Bailly. You know, talking about that, the handball last week against Crystal Palace was an absolute joke. It was never handball, was it, Andy?
Yes, it was.
It was handball.
It was. He puts his arms out. He puts his arms out.
No. So it's come off his foot.
This is going to cause
and
a
he's
debate.
running, his arms in a natural position from the close proximity. It is not a handball in a million years.
You can be upset with the rule. As the current
Natural
rule stands,
silhouette.
That's the problem.
he sticks his arm out. He sticks his arm out.
He's running. It's that
Andy,
natural silhouette.
Who runs like this? Well, apart
It
from
wasn't
me.
like that.
Who runs like this?
You run
like that.
It's like that where it's hitting.
Yeah.
Like that, not like this.
No,
Well, what about the proximity, Andy? Because he was quite close
Never
to the ball.
handball.
No.
Yeah, quite close. Yeah,
Not close enough.
not close enough.
The rule needs changing back again because it's making a farce of. You've got to teach young players now to go and run with your hands behind your back. No, you have. You were laughing, but that's how you're going to have to do it. Now, if you're going to, one thing professional footballers will do, they'll take advantage of the rules, whatever the rules are. Now, if Rob comes up and I've got possession of the ball and he's defending me in the 18-yard box,
Are you going to say, you deliberately scooped
I'm
it
going
up?
to flick it against his arm.
Yeah.
And get a
it's
handball.
It's like Sadio
That
Mane in
was
the
Champions League
final,
wasn't it? Yeah,
exactly.
the first goal.
Well, actually, there, Sissoko's pointing for his mate to take the covering run. So he's going, take the runner, and it's hit his arm. But that came off his chest first, by the way, onto his arm.
This
but
is
all
it.
I'm saying,
Look,
that's
how is that, Andy? That's never handball.
It's in there as well. It's not even out there.
You're not serious about that.
Yeah, I'm serious.
You are serious. That is handball.
Yeah.
Come on, look.
He knows it.
All
Hang
right,
his head in shame.
let's move on from the handball situation. Regardless of that, the question that came from Armin from Ethiopia was about the defence. Robbie was saying another centre-half?
Yeah, I would. Crystal Palace only scored 31 Premier League goals last season. They've scored 3 at Old Trafford in the opening game of the season. I would get a centre-half with pace who can defend one-on-one situations.
Yeah, because I think Man United are a team that are possession-based. They'll want to go forward. It's the nature of the beast, really. It has been for many, many years. And I think you're right, Rob. They're going to get caught. Palace had them where they wanted them. That's how they play on the counter. And they're a better team offensively, Palace, now. They've got more pace, more quality up front.
Yeah.
They couldn't get out last season. But when you go 1-0 down against Palace, that's a problem. And they got found out.
We'll talk more about Palace when we preview their match against Everton. But just on that centre-half position for Manchester United, is there a name that stands out to you, Andy, that Manchester United should be going after?
Well, I was surprised they didn't get Gabriel. He was a player they were interested in. And this is why I don't really have any faith in United to improve the squad. Because they have targets, and I know there's one particular name looming over the top of those.
We'll get onto that.
But you don't believe they're going to get it over the line. Even with this Alex Telles deal, who is a player from Porto, the left-back, who I feel would really improve them. You talked about they could maybe do with some full-back cover, maybe an alternative to Wan-Bissaka who can attack a bit more. But on that left-hand side, he's someone who creates, Alex Telles. He's a leader as well. He's experienced in Europe. You could go and get him right now for £18 million.
Reguilon went to Spurs. He was linked with Manchester United. I watched him in the Europa League for Sevilla. You know, was he named the best left back in La Liga as well? He was sensational. So he was linked with Manchester United. Listen, loads of players are linked with Manchester United.
I can understand why they don't want to do that because of the buyback. But Alex Telles is a player who everyone who watches European football or watches Champions League has been aware of for a very long time. 18 million. And they're saying, but we should be getting him for less. In the last year of his contract, Manchester United, just pay it. The amount you're haggling over, you're losing that money on the clock while you're not integrating him into the team.
All right, that's the defence for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But what about in midfield? Raman from India wants to talk about that. Here's his question.
Hi, my question is for Robbie. Now that Van de Beek has played really well in the Carabao Cup, should Solskjaer tweak his formation a little bit and play Pogba, Bruno, Van de Beek and Matic in a 4-4-2 diamond?
So I'll go to the great man here about midfield players.
You're avoiding answering it then.
I'll talk about McTominay, Fred. You know, the more defensive-minded players. But I'll go to the great man on Van de Beek, Pogba. Where do you see that midfield work? I think the power for United is the 3 up front and Fernandes as a 10. You know, they play 3 and a 1. You know, with Rashford. Where does Van de Beek, Pogba fit in?
Van de Beek, for me, was a player who wasn't needed. If Pogba stays and you get the best out of Pogba, I think 2 8s is the best thing for United rather than
a 6 and 2 8s.
Yeah. I think that would be a 3 that would excel. To play all 3 of them in there, you're forcing yourself to go with a diamond, to have somebody holding and then play them to either side and one off the front. So I don't see United doing that. I don't see Ollie doing that at all. I really don't. But he's a very good player, Van der Beek, but not needed at the moment.
And if you play
That's why they've got the midfield they've got.
Sorry, Glenn. I was going to say, if you play that diamond, you need a more attacking right back than Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going to work like that. I mean, we've heard people say, quite rightly, that Van der Beek, after Frenkie de Jong went to Barcelona, showed he could play a slightly deeper role for Ajax.
Yeah.
And he did show that. But that's still not his strength. If you're looking for that sort of player, you're not looking for Van der Beek to be de Jong. You're looking for a different type of player.
Yeah.
So, it's surprising to me. I guess the one thing you can say is maybe it's not about them playing together. Maybe if you're United, you're ambitious, you want to play 60 matches this season. Can Pogba get through 60 matches? Well, not on recent form. I don't think so. Do you want to absolutely flog Bruno Fernandes, who, you know, is a player, the way he's played since he's joined Manchester United, it's a panic if he's not in the team because he's so important to them. So do they need some sort of alternative?
So you know there, you know there if you play with 2 8s and a 6. So are you saying like defend with a 5? So you got the back 4 and the one in front, and then you know the 2 8s and the 3.
It could be
with 5, defend with 5.
It could be with a 3 at the back. It could be with a 4. It doesn't matter really. But that midfield needs to be, you know, balanced. And I think you need Pogba in and around the D. So to play him too deep, you know, he plays at his best when he's coming on to things.
Yeah.
You know, I think that balance would work. Having a 10 there and having 2 deep ones. There's certain games they're going to need to do that against top teams.
See on that though, because Pogba, I believe, you've mentioned Kevin De Bruyne's passing ability. Pogba sitting deep there. We seen that ball, didn't we, at Spurs, outside of his foot half volley. Yeah. His passing range. If you play with a 1 holding, a McTominay or a Fred, you know, or a Matic, their passing ability is not as great as a Pogba as a 6. Do you know what I mean? So if you play with the 2 8s, the 6, who's going to be the most creative one in that team? Getting out.
You don't. I don't think you'd play. I don't think you. It's a waste putting Pogba as a 6.
And he's really frustrated there as well.
Yeah, I don't think he tracks people. I don't think he's got enough.
Do you understand what I mean? How are they going to get out? Because you know McTominay is as well as he's done. But I'm talking that next level from United 3 semi-finals last season in the cup competitions. How do they get to be a final team, a winning team? You understand what I mean?
I think if Pogba starts playing better and playing more around in and around the D and getting in the box, I've seen him for Juventus when he did it for France. He does it. You know, he's a different player sometimes when he puts that blue shirt on. And if they get him playing and then they've got the Portuguese lad in there as well, to me that is a beautiful blended midfield. You can't ask for more as a manager to have 2 players like that and a holding player just sitting in there. Feeding them, just feed them, give them the ball. But Pogba too deep sometimes. He's got to have the licence to get in the box, to get in and around the box, and then chip back in there and defend like he can do. I think you've got an absolute world-class player there who, if he doesn't want to be there, then obviously that's the problem. But, you know, get the best out of him. If the transfer, you know, embargo goes past, the date goes past, you've got to get the best out of him. There's a player still in there. He's still a very, very good player. A brilliant player, and it's a waste at the moment in a Man United shirt. It really is. It's very sad because I think he has got everything as a player.
All right. Well, finally today, we're going to get our final question from Twitter. Ryan is one of many fans who's got in touch to ask this one. He simply put in all capital letters, will Manchester United sign Jadon Sancho? Andy Brassel, European journalist, give us the answer.
Can I put in capital letters no?
Oh.
I think
Why?
That's it, unfortunately, because they won't pay the money. They understand the situation. They're not willing to understand the situation, Manchester United, it seems clear. Dortmund have all the cards in their hand because not only do they have the 3 years left on Sancho's contract, that mean they're not under pressure to sell him, not only have they set a reasonable price out of respect of their relationship with Jadon Sancho, and, you know, you look at his numbers, and I feel you shouldn't whittle it down to just the numbers with Sancho because he provides so much more. But how many players in top European leagues can provide 15 goals and 15 assists? You're looking at the Messi end of the spectrum, really, aren't you? And the fact is that he's not going to throw his toys out the pram. Now, I think Manchester United was semi-hoping that, well, OK, if we're not getting the discount we want from Dortmund, you agitate for the move. But he likes it there.
Yeah.
He really loves to train and play for Dortmund. He's respected, he's loved. He gets on well with the players around him. He's got lots of people of his own age around him. He will leave, I think, when the deal is right for Dortmund.
What are we talking about? 100 million they're talking about?
We're talking about £110 million, which is...
Well, they've put another 10 on it.
very, very, very reasonable, I think, even with what's happened today. And the thing is, United, like we were saying before with Alex Telles, United are one of the very few clubs in the world who can't go, oh, well, we're skint. You can't do that. Everyone knows you've got the money.
There's another way of looking at it in the longer term, because he's so young and he's so talented. Would you pay 15 million every season for him, for that calibre of player?
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. There's your 100 and there's your so-called.
Exactly.
So if it's going to cost you 15, 12 minutes, whatever it
Glenn, have a word with them.
Exactly.
Have a word.
It's not as frightening a figure as when you look at it, because he's so young. If you're getting a 28-year-old, you're thinking, that money, we're going to run out of time. They could sign him on a 7-8 year contract, and that's what it's going to cost them. And possibly, if he gets even better, which he will do, they sell him for more than the 100 million.
But United aren't even looking for sell on, are they? They're looking for
of course not.
10 years of bang out of one of the best players in the world, as I think he is already, and he will be. But I think where United are really missing a trick, apart from the fact that I agree is good value over time, is the fact that now they've got a clear run, because Real Madrid tied up with doing a €500 million redevelopment of their stadium. Paris Saint-Germain aren't really in the market because they don't know what's going on with Mbappe and Neymar. You've got Barcelona, who are just a mess. There could be a lot more competition if they leave it to next summer.
Yeah, very good point. All right, well, let's see whether Manchester United, with the squad they currently have, can bounce back in the Premier League this weekend against Brighton.